Well, here at the Yamhill Valley Heritage Center, located in McMinnville, Oregon, lying between the Coast Range to the west and the Cascade Mountains to the east, we put on two events each year, one being a Farm Fest event, which is all horsepower, and then we do a harvest event in the fall or August where we harvest our oats with old-time equipment.
We have a 1927 Advanced Rumley 3252 threshing machine that is used every year since 1990 and does an extremely well job of threshing our oats. We sack our oats in sacks and sow them, and we have about three older gentlemen that have done this as they grew up in their lives. The threshing machine is powered with a 1912 Peerless steam engine. Our gentleman that runs it, Vern Yeager, is an extremely good steamer man, thought of highly throughout the valley. We also use a 1927 International truck that is ours and is here all the time at the museum. We will park it and they'll put the sacks on it, and then we fire it up for the tractor parade that we do. We get a varying number, but anywhere from 25. I think the most we've had is over 50 tractors in the parade. Tractors varying from the early 30s or late 20s clear on up into the 50s and 60s. We don't usually allow any tractors that are much newer than that in the parade. Each year we try and feature a different tractor model year, and we do have some older vehicles go through in our tractor parade also. Here at the Heritage Center we have a couple of stagecoaches, one of them of which was hand built here in the local area. Each year they pull it with 6 mules and give rides here at the Heritage Center. It's a very popular attraction. For all of our spring and our fall event, in particular the Harvest Fest, we have our covered wagon that we put outside, and the kids get to see how folks would have traveled back then. They get to see some of the tools and things you would have used on the trail moving out here.
Well, we're very fortunate here at the Heritage Center to have a team of very accomplished blacksmiths. We have an operating blacksmith shop, and the team will come and do demonstrations of the different methods of pounding steel into tools that were very common for literally hundreds of years before we started making machine tools. The blacksmith was a key ingredient in every community. The other thing that we have is a sawmill, turn of the century, 1900 Dilution Sawmill. That sawmill was operating just north of here in Newburgh for many years, and it was moved here to the facility. We're very pleased to have it. It's the old style. Takes a lot of people to run it, not like a modern sawmill where one man can cut up lumber faster than you can load it. This sawmill takes a little bit longer than that because it was originally a steam-powered mill, but it does a great job, and we actually use a lot of the lumber that's cut there to build our buildings here. In fact, the sawmill and the blacksmith shop were both built with wood that was cut in the sawmill.
We also have music and food during the day, and in our second building we have booths where people can display items that they may want to sell.
And inside the museum here we have over 100 tractors, varying, as David said earlier, on the parade. We do use them for the parades and for shows and things like that.
Each year in the schoolhouse we actually have a woman here that portrays a school mom from the early 1900s that does a very good job of how school was taught in the early days. Actually, I've watched her demonstrate her classroom as it would have been done in the early years, and I've watched her do this, and she actually scares me. It's a far cry from what the schools are like today. She does. She scares me. Each year we bale some of the straw that comes from the threshing machine, and we do baling from the stationary baler to the powered baler that picks straw up in a windrow, and then we also have the case baler that we feature as a hand-tied baler, where you have to have one person on each side of the bale chamber poking wires and tying wires. And then we also have an Allis-Chalmers round baler. Allis-Chalmers made one of the first round balers that was made, and each year we demonstrate it. We don't actually demonstrate them as they were used in the field. We hand pitch straw into them so that people can actually see how the tying mechanism works and how the people work that are hand tying the bales on the case hand tie baler. It's kind of unique that we've moved from a stationary baler that took at least 2 people pitching straw into it and 2 people tying, a person on the machine operating the machine that's driving it, to where now you can go out in the field and one person can bale with a baler and auto tie. It shows how progression has made the baling process much easier.
So all of these things demonstrate the way it was to live in the turn of the century and before. It was a lot of work in those days, and it's good for people to see what their fathers and grandfathers had to do, because it's a lot easier today.